Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Today is our big day and exciting day, actually. After more than 1 year working on this event, we are finally waiting for our teams to do their presentations. Our event, Expanding Humanity to Outer Space, EHTOS, idea has emerged from the SRI manifesto and mission and vision, actually. In SRI, we are more concerned with expanding humanity to outer space. We believe it's an urgent issue, not only important, but urgent. We have to do it as soon as possible. And we are more concerned with the human aspect and human factors. Of course, in addition to all the factors of expanding human civilization into outer space that we can imagine and we can't imagine as well. When we are talking about expanding humanity to outer space, we are talking about millions of people living and working in space. And this is opposing to the International Space Station, where the ISS is just a space camp where astronauts visiting the space station for a period of time, but their actual career are in Earth. But we are talking about millions of people living and working in space. We are talking about families, career, and so on. Unfortunately, educational systems don't treat this point in their educational programs in universities or school. Why humanity should expand to outer space, why the civilian space development is extremely important, is not part of the curriculum. Very rarely considered in educational systems in universities. And for this reason, the idea of EHTOS, Expanding Humanity to Outer Space event, has emerged. We would like to bridge this gap in the educational system by having a competition among different teams. The main idea is that teams will be competing to show their design for a rotating habitat or an O'Neill type habitat, considering the human factor and the philosophical ideas of SRI. Please read the manifesto of SRI and the founding papers to understand more about the civilian space development. We started this year by a series of webinars by our mentors to describe the concept of astronautical humanism, rotating habitats, and many other topics. Please get back to our website to see those webinars. And 5 weeks ago, we revealed the mission statement for our teams. We also provided the requirements for the rotating habitats that they are designing. So now, after 5 weeks of hard working and mentorship, we have 3 teams who are going to present their work today. The presentation will be for 10 minutes. Of course, everyone will be invited to ask questions after the 10 minutes for 5 minutes. Yes, Adriano?
We agreed to extend to 15 minutes during the last exchanges. So we will not be fiscal on the 10 minutes, okay?
Well, we are not really strict about that. I mean, okay, 15 minutes, 10 minutes. But yeah, 10 minutes or 15 minutes, you can after that, of course, so we will have a Q&A session. Our mentors are with us today to do the evaluation, and we will announce the winning team during IAC 2024 in Milan. So before giving the floor for the teams, Adriano, do you like to say something?
Thank you very much, Ghanim. I don't have very much more to say because you already said a lot of things that are the essential things. I think the Space on Earth International is making a great work organizing this program that will not end with the annunciation of the winner. It will go ahead because we will promote the winning project to some other environments. We will try to promote it to ESA. We will try to promote it to the in the ISDC in the United States on the National Space Society annual convention, and in other situation. So we hope that the winning project and well, not only the winning project, also the other two projects can have life and go ahead. And probably, if we will have financial availability enough, next year we will do another thing like this, another context for a project for the young researchers teams to be developed and to have a great audience, because as Ghanim said, this aspect of the civilian space development is not considered in the educational systems, and we want to push for that to be considered. We will be present in 1 week at the IAC 75 in Milan, the Congress of the International Astronautical Federation. We will announce the winner over there, and we will give more publicity to this initiative and similar initiatives that we, of course, we call all of our supporters to support us, to help us, because, you know, SRI is a small organization. We don't have big sponsors, so we need to find sponsors. We need to find the support, the financial support, in order to be able to do everything we are doing, including going to the UN, where we are observers at COP was in Vienna, in New York at the United General Assembly headquarters, and so on. So, well, so this is my call. Please help us in our group here, who is not yet a member of SRI. Please subscribe as a member. That's not very expensive. It's not expensive at all, and students can make it for half the yearly fee. That's really ridiculous. So we need your activism more than your money. So please join us. Well, Ghanim.
So let me add a few words as a president of Space Renaissance International. I'm Bernard Frank. I'm a long-term explorer myself with a mission to the Moon, Mars, and Space Station. And I'm very pleased to see that the next generation is taking the challenge, and that you are participating to these activities, competitions that can also inspire your peers, because clearly the next generation has a key role into our expansion into space and in doing it for the benefit of all. So I'm really looking forward to see some of you at the International Astrophysical Congress, where so I'm organizing the technical session, but also we'll have a booth from Space Renaissance International, Space for All, SDG 18, and we have a number of partners that will present. So also, as Adriano mentioned, yes, please join Space Renaissance and bring 10 of your friends to join Space Renaissance, because I think it's very important to have the youth represented, not only your voice, but also your work, your act. And so we are looking forward to hear you. So best wishes to all. It's like Olympic Games. Everybody wins because you try to do the best of what you can do by yourself and with your team. So all the best. Over space.
Thank you, Bernard. Thank you, Adriano. And of course, today is not the end. We intend to continue working with the presentations. So now let's give the floor to our teams. Let's start with Team Delta. Javier, maybe you are the representative of the team. So please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I need to share my screen, or you are the host?
Yes, you can share your screen, or if you prefer, I will run your presentation. But I think it's better if you share your desktop and
Yeah,
you run the slides
yeah,
yourself.
yeah, sure. I'm going to, yeah, because I have embedded videos. For this reason, I prefer share my screen. Can you share my screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Perfectly.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity of this time in order to present. I am be part of the Delta team. We have created this branch, Luis Delta Space. This team member is myself and Mahat. And now we are to present the conceptual design of the Moon-Earth Lagrange city. Well, the preamble. The life on the Earth has faced significant catastrophic risk from space, from nature, from biological diseases, and even for the human itself. For this reason, we need to find solution, innovate solution in order to keep the survival of the humanity. Because, for example, from an space, we had threats for example, an asteroid which caused a mass extinctions. Also, volcans and storm have generated impact for the agricultural for some communities, it will affect for the future of the
Javier,
humanity.
I'm sorry for intervening, but I can see a window appears in the slides from Zoom.
Yes. So please close your video, and restart it when you have to talk. So, okay.
Okay.
Yes, it disappear, but unfortunately, also the slides disappear. Okay, now we have that again, but I have the same problem, so I have to stop my video.
Can you share my? I am changing my. Can you share my?
Slides, yes, we are seeing that, but I don't know why we have this this small picture of myself now. Oh my God.
Or if somebody can share my presentation, I don't have any problem.
I don't know why Zoom is the first time that I see it.
Okay.
Self view now.
Yeah, now it disappeared actually.
Okay.
Oh, it appears again.
I don't know how to take it away. Okay. Javier.
Maybe try sharing a window, not a screen. Share your window only.
Yeah. Share the window, not the screen. That's a good suggestion.
Okay.
Yeah. You're sharing again the desktop, I think. I don't.
Yeah. I don't know if somebody can help me to share my presentation in order to not lost more time.
Yeah, I would suggest to continue now, even with this small window. So just go ahead. We can't avoid this.
I will try to understand why it appears and how to put it away. Okay.
I think it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's not sharing now.
No, because I stopped it.
Exactly. So restart.
Yeah, anyways, you can go ahead now, Javier.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm gonna start again. This is the proposal generated by the team.
A suggestion, please mute everybody. Maybe we will not appear anymore. I hope so. Let's try muting audio, not the speaker, of course.
Well, this is a presentation of the team data in which we have creating this branding in which the delta space. The principal approach is to present the conceptual design of the Moon-Earth Lagrange city. And well, we are beginning with a preamble. The life on the Earth has faced with significant catastrophic risks. For example, from the space, from nature, biological system, and even for the human itself. For example, from space, we have a risk for asteroid which has generated or caused mass extinction from the bigger spaces on the Earth. Also, a volcano, a storm can impact in order to compromise the food for the agricultural situation for some communities, and also even the human high generated impact with a negative in the environment generated by wars. For this reason, it's important to create innovative solutions in order to keep the survival of the humanity. The idea is to create a spacecraft in order to explore the space. For this reason, we face with the following challenge. This challenge is to create or to design and propose a sustainable and self-sufficient habitat in space in order to keep the raw materials from close to the Earth, to the moons, and in the strategic points, which call Lagrange points, in order to avoid obstacles, in order to keep the survival of the humanity. However, we face it with interesting factors and challenges. For example, the advanced technologies is required to employ this type of proposal. The transportation, we need to ensemble the structure in the space and also to transport the person, to develop, keep the monitoring of the health system in order to keep the monitoring of the quality life on the different population. For this reason, it's interesting challenge in order to propose what is the different draft of this proposal. Well, this proposal is based on of the O'Neill vision, in which considering the following 5 key essential perspectives, in which is to create a large structure in which can to keep the humanity. In this case, we are considering in this proposal at least 500 persons per kilometer squared. However, it's important to consider it's necessary to be self-sufficiency, in which is to leverage the raw materials for the moon, asteroids, or even close to the Earth. Also, it's important to keep artificial gravity. This is obtained with the structure design, in which is a disk, in which rotating in the axis itself. Also, according to Lagrange points, we receive a total of time and solar energy, in which it's important to leverage in order to keep the life on and also to move or to transmit the energy to the system. Also, we need to optimize the living condition, in which is generate oxygen, reduce CO2, and also to keep the life on this habitat. And also, it's necessary to be feasibility in terms of economic viability in order to employ in this type of mission or vision. Well, however, we face it with different factors. For example, I'm going to reproduce this video in which try to summarize the different factors, challenges. For example, in this case, we presented the structure. This structure is designed according to this type, in which is rotated around itself axis, in which contain solar panels in order to capture the solar energy. Also, we pretend to use smart materials, biomaterials, in order to create a structure. For example, we are proposing spheres, which can be composed by biomaterials or smart materials, in what we can be be repaired and reused, and also to keep the sustainability system on this type of elements. And also we have to create in a shield in order to protect the solar radiancy to keep the humanity covered for these external situations. Now it's important to describe the life support system. For example, in this case, we enter to the sphere. In this case, we have the necessary to keep the enough technology in order to clean the oxygen, reduce the CO2 using advanced technology, and also to leverage algae or trees in order to reduce this negative impact for the environment and the humanity. Also, it's necessary to keep the communication in order to try to keep the communication with other societies. It's necessary to keep the feed for the population. For this reason, we pretended to use autonomous system in order to have assigned the collection of the vegetable or food in order to keep the life on the earth. Also, the economics, well interaction is essential for the communication between the society. For this reason, we pretended to use smart materials, biomaterials, in order to interact with a response activities in order to create comfortable furniture, and also to give the materials to create this type of experiences rooms in order to keep the communication and receive interactive activities in the different situations. Also, the health monitoring is essential for this type of resources. For example, in this case, we pretend to use the human digital twin which can to monitoring in real time the different situation of the body in real time. And also we pretend to use the robotic system in order to assist the medical situation. For example, in this case, we pretended to use robotic system for the surgery, and also to create virtual robot systems in order to assist the medical operation. Also, the spacecraft is essential to try or to obtain these activities. For this reason, it's important to design this type of vehicles in order to move out of the Earth. The additive manufacturing is an essential point because with using additive manufacturing, we can to create this assemble structure on the Earth, and also because it's necessary to assemble in the space on orbit the different objects, space objects, in order to keep repair and try to join different objects in order to create this structure. Also, it's necessary to obtain the raw materials from close space objects. It's possible to obtain it from the asteroids, the moon, or even the Earth, but the idea is to obtain it around in the orbital of the Lagrange points. For this reason, it's essential the different factors we pretended to describe it in this video. Also, we have another consideration for example, the governance. We identify the following description of different point of view we can to generate applying to the governance. However, we are in this moment considering the freedom in donde can be useful for the life and keep the good, the well convivence for the humanity and society. However, we require or we suggest to have a technical expertise in order to make decisions, because this is a new approach. This is a new, we don't have evidence in the history of the humanity. For this reason, we suggest to have the freedom and the technical expertise in order to make decisions for this governance. Well, in this case, we have that following summarized mission elements, in which there's a lot of essential points. For example, the location is essential proof. It is proposed to use the Lagrange point, especially the 4 and 5, because in this case, in this position, we have a gravity stability. It will reduce the health diseases for the humanity, and also we can do, or it's possible to interact with normal daily activities in space. Also, it's important to reduce radiation, which can to avoid using a shield. And also, it's important to keep the life support system, generate oxygen, recycle the water, and able to reduce the waste. Also, to create smart material, advanced materials in order to create this type of structure and also to monitoring. However, in order to employ these types of technologies, it requires different transdisciplinary professional profile. It will require different point of view, different approaches, different vision. It is necessary to keep and obtain this type of technologies. Now, in order to describe the complexity of this challenge, we using the complexity analysis methods, it will try to describe what is the possible in short time and long time if we can to obtain it. In this case, we create in these different categories. It will describe what is the possible in short time we can to obtain this type of structure in order to obtain to life on orbit around the moon. Also, in order to describe the current system, we are using the pestle analysis. We describe the political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal situation of the in order to obtain. However, with this conclusion, we don't have the enough technology, not enough resources in order to employ this type of vision because it's ambitious. However, it's necessary to create a beginning point in order to start this exploration to obtain this city around the moon. For this reason, we are proposing to reduce the scope in order to create a micro scale using bioreactor, bioreactor, and also to generate the life support system in order to use robot system in which can to replace the human's activities in order to describe how we can to employ in this reduced approach, which can be feasibility in order to employ and to create this type of experience in the space. For example, in this case, we have a similar structure. We have plugging biomaterials and also to shield, to cover for the radiation and also to keep energy for the solar panels. And also in this case, we are proposing to use robotic system which can to employ in the human activities and also these bioreactors in which composed by branch on stacks of plants in order to create the cycle of the oxygen in order to reduce the CO2 and create oxygen and also to monitoring in real time this system. Well, the project management is composed at least for 4 principal activities, which is described in this case by principal work package. Each for work package has principal goal. Also, we have the Gantt timeline, in which describing what is the possible essential activities. We are considering at least 2 years in order to obtain this micro scale prototype. This is the business plans based on of the Canvas model. In this case, we detected the possible partners is the space agencies, also the private space companies. It was interesting to explore to the space. Also, we are pretending to focus in order to incomes, to receive support, to receive, and key resources is the research and developer focus in artificial intelligence in order to generate the interaction with the social robotics and also to discover new materials for employing these type of activities in space. Also, the idea is to sales of modular micro robotics capsules if we can to be interested for the university research centers in order to employ in different activities in space. Well, in summary, this is the proposal. It was employing different sustainable activities, strategies in order to keep the circularity all the time in the system. It will try to reduce the, try to reduce the life support systems, and also we consider this feasibility in comparison with the primary idea. However, also it's important to keep the circularity, which is essential to keep these type of activities in space. And also we pretend to use these standards based on of the space agencies to employing this type of prototypes. Well, the possible following activities, we finish with the conclusion is to create a reduced prototype. The following phase is to create a virtual representation of the small or scale prototype in order to generate the adequate evidence in which can justify is the potential in order to employ in the physical world, and also to create a constriction for the validate the minimum viable product in order to employ in the space. Well, the potential partnerships, according to the business model, we detected a private, a public space centers, organization, private or companies focus on aerospace, and also to finding funds for external or grants in order to generate this idea. Also, we detected these accelerators which can to support us to employ in this idea. Well, we finished with this slide. We want too early to explore the stars, want too late to explore the planet. However, we are considered we born just in time to change the humanity destiny. Well, thank you for your time, and we finish, and that's all for us. And thank you for this opportunity. We learn a lot, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Javier, for this work, of course. I know it's difficult to spend the time to do all this work while, of course, you have other duties. I really appreciate it. But before we open the floor for Q&A session, we forgot to ask you to introduce yourself and your teammate, Nahar. So please introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself and your teammate, and then we will open the floor for the Q&A.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I am Javier. I'm from Mexico, and I am a PhD postdoctoral fellow in a private university in Mexico, focused on digital manufacturing. I am interested to employing this concept of virtualization and digital technologies in order to employ in the space activities. For this reason, I pretend to describe or leverage these technologies in order to employ in the conquers the space in order to increase the humanity development in knowledge and capacities to create objects to satisfy the needs for the humanity. Well, my partner is Mahat. This is a attendant, or this done the PhD in USA and focusing astronautical experiments focused in transportation. Well, this is the summary for our profiles.
Okay, thank you very much, Team Delta. Now, mentors, please, if you have any question, you can immediately ask.
Yes, I think I have a general question. It seems that you have chosen to face only one aspect, let me say one subassembly of the statement of work. It is regarding the life support system cells or something like that. Is that true?
Well, it's only to in cells. It's only to generate a structure based on of biomaterials. We try to discover using digital technologies in order to create the structure, the interaction with the social activities for control the robotic systems. Is other type of cells, and also to create this life support system based on of plants or algae in order to generate oxygen and reduce the CO2 generated by the different agents in the system.
Yeah, okay, so thank you. This was my first question. The second question, seeing the pictures and the animation that you show, seems that you are thinking about a kind of dish, but rotating the dish will not give simulated gravity to the people inside, because if to have simulated gravity, you should think about another kind of structure.
Yeah.
to have the people to walk on the okay, it's hard to describe. It would be better by images. But however, what I mean is that if I am standing on a rotating dish, I will not benefit of simulated gravity. To benefit of simulated gravity, I should be standing on a rotating torus, on the peripheral
Yeah.
of rotating torus. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually agree. We are exploring different proposal structure according to the, well, if we according to this commentation, yes, this torus is adequate structure can be to simulate the gravity in order to try to reduce the negative impact generated for the health system, well, for the health for the humans. Yeah, and yes, I agree.
So that is what you presented now is just a conceptual.
Yeah, this is a
idea.
concept, this rotation of
To be
stand.
properly architectured. Okay.
Yeah. This is only the concept of the idea.
Okay.
Small question to you. Did you use artificial intelligence for your design?
Yeah, this considering the artificial intelligence like assistance in order to develop the structure, also to control the robotics, in order to employ the social activities, in order to, for the scale prototype, we try to replace or instead of use humans, employ robots in order to simulate the social activities, in order to describe what is the potential or the possible problems or issues we face it in the future before to launch the humanity out of space.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Yes, Mary Louisa, please.
You said that we are living in a transition phase, in a history of transition. I think it's very interesting to look to this historical phase, and perhaps you can say a bit more about your vision.
Yeah, well, the idea is to create a roadmap which allows us to define a plan, a strategic plan in order to obtain this habitat in reality. However, in this, according to the pestle analysis, in this moment is not possible because we like with advanced technology is necessary to keep a line assemble in space. For this reason, is not possible in this moment. We can to start in a beginning point using a microscale capsule, and we can to launch it in the space in order to create a roadmap, in order to define the different phases in which composes the strategic plan in order to obtain this habitat, in order we can to try to move the humans in some, well, maybe in 50 or 100 years. However, we can start now planning this idea in order to generate it in real world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question? Yes, Bernard?
Yes, I have a question. You mentioned a prototype. So could you describe what is the scale, what is the effort that would be required for the prototype, and what will be the cost? Because also you propose a business.
Yeah, well, in this moment, the cost, according to the different phases, the second phase is to create a virtual representation of this prototype, in order we can to employ in artificial intelligence to control the robots. We can to define the cost. The second phase is the phase B. In this stage, we can to determine the physical or real cost. However, in this moment, in order to try to describe the virtual representation of this scale prototype, we are only using virtual reality. It will see at least is a reduced cost in order to fabricate or make it real. For this reason, in this moment, the cost to generate this evidence, because before to manufacturing, I prefer to generate it in digital representation in order to evaluate the different constraints, the different variables and different parameters in order to determine a real cost. However, in this moment, in order to develop, unless too necessary to approximately $1,000 per month, which includes the development, the requirements, in order to deploy, and maybe it's not necessary unless 2 months in order to deploy and employ artificial intelligence design, parametric design, and also to determine the constraints, the limitation, and also we can to define or estimate the physical cost and real environment.
So you mentioned the digital prototype. So did you think that you could also build a terrestrial physical prototype that would be good also to attract interest from investors or partners, like a physical structure on Earth?
Yeah. Well, the idea is to demonstrate or generate evidence in according to the physical, the digital representation is possible to manufacture it. For this reason, the second phase is to generate it in digital representation in order to, to apply to the sponsor or receive investment in the way, okay, well, this is no abstract idea. We have the prototype in digital terms. We can to employ, and if we receive these incomes, it's possible to manufacture it. For this reason, we are focusing in digital representation for the first step in order to generate this evidence, and also to try to generate papers or we can to generate value for this idea, and also to protected intellectual information in order to share this idea with the partners, because if we present it in protection or generated resources, scientific resources, it's possible we had a disadvantage to the competition of these similar ideas.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the comment.
Maria, do you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Ghanim. Actually, I have a question. In the slide number 7, you mentioned some elements concerning the mission. Between these elements, there are 2 factors that, as a health professional, that interest me. You mentioned the psychological and physiological challenge. Can you please tell me, how do you see it? How will you manage the mental health? And if on the physiological level you have problems with people on board, what will you do in that case?
Well, in these problems is health situation in mental health is possible. For example, many person don't like to reduce spaces to live or to sleep. Is essential to keep monitoring in order to receive treatments in order to satisfy, keep the good condition, to keep this in order to give daily capacity activities. For this reason, we pretended to use human digital representation in order to monitoring. We are proposing to use wearables if we can to adapt to any type of humans, and also to keep also in this case we are using virtual assistants in order to monitoring, in order to make a good decisions based on of the performance and the behavior we detected. For this reason, the physiological and the mental is essential, because this is maybe the body for all the people is not possible to face with this performance or with new factor environments. It's possible we collapse or we create new diseases generated by the new challenge. For this reason, monitoring using biotechnological elements, we can to try to reduce this different negative impact for the body.
Okay, and there will be a contact with people on Earth, some helpers that, I mean, what is, let's say the worst case scenario, what is your emergency protocol, let's say?
Well, in this case, this is other, well, in the document, we proposing different three scenarios. The
Okay.
last scenario is that we don't have time. We destroy it, we disappear the humanity. However, the emergency is like is to create capsules we can to keep transportation at least 500 person in space, considering that support system, considering the sustainability strategies in order to at least keep this we called the capsula survivors, which is like similar to ships. Which has the boats. Which when this damage the boats, we using this in order to escape and sea, seeing destination. However, this is a similar idea to keep capsules in order to try to translate people for the space. However, considering the life support system, the recycle the resources, and only to keep the circularity in all the time.
Okay. Thank you. That's all for me.
Okay. The Q&A session seems to go longer than the presentation itself, so we have maybe one last question, if any.
I would just add a consideration that the best, it is always better to prevent than to cure. Therefore, maybe we will try to make a beautiful environment inside the habitat in order to try to avoid mental problems. I think that good ergonomics and a beautiful environment are fundamental for any type of habitat, both on Earth and in space. But even more important in space, because we are in the middle of nothing, you know, in space.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, thank you very much, Team Delta, for your work. Now, let's go to Sakha and Muasim. Please share your screen and the floor is yours. Before that, please introduce yourself and, of course, your teammates.
Thank you. I think Masim will start. So he'll share his screen. I'm his teammate. I'm Sakha Al-Madani. I'm from Saudi Arabia. My background, you're going to see, is focusing on mental health and aerospace medicine. So he's going to be speaking about the engineering side. I'm going to be talking more about human factors.
Hi everybody, this is Nosam, and my background is in photonics, basically the study of science and their applications. And I am going to discuss about scientific and technological terms related to habitats. So yeah, thank you. And now I am going to share my screen. You can see my screen now.
Yes.
Yes, we can see it, but can you please put it in full screen mode?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, thank you. And yeah. I am going to start now, okay, one by one steps. So yeah, our group name is INFOS, and we are going to present about our works. Basically, I divided my works in two parts. One works based on general introduction about Lagrangian points, and another works based on my last project works. So, and these are the outlines we are going to discuss about all terminologies and scientific terms related to space explorations. And these all points based on scientific and engineering works, and these points based on medical and all mental health related program things. So, okay. First questions we in our minds, what is the basically Lagrangian points and why we need to build it, and what is the meaning of that our lives. So in case of that point, we all know that whether we can whether we can stay uh, stay and we can build very small objects to move uh, moves with them, and because of the centrifugal force to make us as stable each and every points. But in case of that, there are total 5 points: so L1, L2, L3, and L4 and L5. But the 3 points are unstables and 2 are stables. So majorly for these things, we are going to focus about only 2 points. Those points are very stable, and we can make these systems as for long-term missions. And also there is the gravitational equilibrium for these points to require very minimal energy. So, and one more questions in our mind: why we need to build a habitat in an Earth-Moon Lagrangian point? So I already described it, but yeah, here are some points. I mentioned that because on that points there is no such kind of attraction and repulsion, because there is no any gravitational force, and we need very minimal energy supplies to transport the our requirements from Earth to moons. And for that point, we having stable environments for constructing space habitats, and we made to explore space in very deep. So that are things. And next points is why we need to gravity 1G artificial gravity. So yes, of course we need that because we need natural environment to make more comfortable and familiar living space for humans, and in the reduce the gravitational effect due to the 1G environments. And for that we have been very effective of harmful effective of microgravity, such as bone density loss, muscle atrophy, and we uh, we can minimize our all health problems related to mentals. And here um, I kept one pictures to show that the what are the differences between Earth, Moons, Mars, and our current International Space Station. So these are the points to describe the differences based on temperatures, based on gravity, based on ultraviolet rays, and etc. And these are the key scientific and technical challenges. We need to maintain these things, and we need to lead the things because of the we need a lot of works. First one is the construction and materials, because of the we know that the environmental is very harmful for us. Also maintaining radiations is also very difficult for us. And there is the micrometeorites, and crucial for building durable habitats. And second one is the artificial gravity, and that gravity is creating a stable is also very difficult for us. And we need a safe artificial gravitational gravity environment is critical for long-term human habitation in space. And also we need life support systems, like we can provide air, water, and food for a large population in space is a formidable challenges. So here you can see these are the types of radiations in space. We have to deal with that radiation because a lot of radiation falling in ionizing forms and some is falling in unorganized forms. So these are radiations is very effective for our human bodies. If we are going to stay there, so we have to keep in the mind. And what are the necessary technologies and materials we need required for that? So we need materials like graphene is very hard materials nowadays, and 3D printing, of course, and we need that constructions and life support systems like recycling water, air, and waste. Of course, we need agriculture, food productions, and radiation shielding. Yeah, this is the very important part for us and task also, because we need radiation shielding to protect that radiation for uh, inner work and inner colleagues. And this is the why we need that overcoming scientific and technological hurdles, because we need a lot of collaboration and innovations with different international space agency. We need research and development to create such kind of environment. We need uh, uh, day by day testing and validation for that to be stay and very safety and success. And for maintaining the habitat, we need robots at for to maintain construction and maintenance. So for that, we need automated constructions like we can do that from different places to their places. And for that we need to maintenance and repair, and also we can operate these things as remotely, because we want to be don't want to be in a risk, and our efficiency is uh, very difficult to be other parts of there to do and things, all those things. We need automation for that things. And for this things, I worked and I constructed one very good device to find out what are the chemical composition present in the Mars, yeah, moons, and any such kinds of celestial bodies, to do some uh, to do some kinds of uh, identification for that, to be build our habitat and to give the sustainable to stay there. And of course, we need some kind, some monitoring external condition and safety operations. For that, we need space weather monitoring, micrometeorite detection, and resource management. And yes, also inside that cube, we need that natural sunlight for lightening the habitat. So for that, we need natural lightning, energy efficiency, and physiological benefit, because these are the things we need for that to make the environment is uh, very comfortable, to improve our mood, sleep patterns, and overall psychological well-being contribution and our health living environment. So these are the scientific terms. And now I am going to discuss about my project where I did that. This project is basically laser-induced background spectroscopy, and all about here. So this is the introduction. Basically, LIFS is an spectroscopy techniques where we can do qualitative and quantitative elemental analysis. For that, we need laser and mirrors, lens, and here is the samples, and we can collect that outputs through the optical fiber and we use spectroscopy. And after then, we can see which kinds of elements and chemicals present on that sample. So this instrument used by NASA during the Curiosity Mars rover explorations. So in case of LIFS, you can see these are the space agencies and rovers. They use that techniques to explore our space. And this is my motivation behind the project was because we can use LIFS application in lot of things those who are need that for the solar cell analysis, for the space applications, for know the what are kinds of elements present there. And this is the my works. I would like to show one video. So, this video. So this is the setup. I designed it, and I think it is visible for all. For all.
Yes, it's a little bit small. You can go back to the full screen. It will be better.
This sorry for this is like that because I have taken through my phone, so that's things. Okay, like you can see that this is the setup. So first I design it. This setups. There is one high power lasers, pulse laser, and this is the lens, and that focus is around 1 millimeters, and this is the same pulse, and we are collecting through that optical fiber cables, and whether we can see
Martin,
here
we see
is
the
the
presentation, not the video.
oh.
Yeah, please change the screen.
Oh, so thank you. I am changing that. Sorry. Yeah, here is the video. Now it is visible.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, sorry. This is the videos, and this is the pulse lasers, wavelength around 520 nanometers, and this is the lens. This is the lens, and this is the same pulse. I kept it here, and you can see that the plasma generated to top of the same pulse, and we are collecting that plasma and focusing through that optical fiber cables, and we connected that cables through the spectroscopy and our laptop, whether we can see how many component materials and chemicals are present there, and we can identify that as we all know that each and every chemicals having their fingerprints. So this is the small setups, and I am going back to my original slides, and so okay, and you can see these are the uh, uh, data I have taken from that experiments. So this is the aluminum, copper, brass, and miss steels. I did 4-5 samples, and I did this experiment in Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology with one startup company, Spectral Scientific Limited. So these are things. Of course, there are yeah. Of course, there are a lot of spectroscopy, but while LIPS is very important for that. So here I kept it so to see what are the differences in advances and measure distribution. But in case of LIPS, it is the very fast analysis times. It is take very few seconds to give us idea about that samples, and we can use that spectroscopy in all kinds of matters like solid, liquid, and gas samples, and it's required very minimal, and we can do in situ and real time analysis, and we can do it is also possible can do remotely. So that's the reason LIPS is very important as compared to other spectroscopy. And here is one my proposals for to need to move our technology in the nano forms. For that, we need to make the nano satellites. Basically, the weight is less than 10 kilometers, and we can combine this lift technology with nano landers on any kind of any kinds of celestial bodies like Moon, Mars, to take the samples from that, and we can realize that how many elements and those who are present there, and we can take the advantage from there. So how it's possible? Yeah, it's possible because we know that we can develop these things based on CubeSats. This is the CubeSat, where is the pointer? Yeah, this is the cube set. The dimension is around 10 by 10, and we can build that cube set like 1 unit, 2 unit like that, and we can import that landers inside the satellite form. So this is the idea, and of course there are a lot of challenges here. I mentioned that if we are monitoring from the earth, we can having weather conditions, power consumptions, and of course it can be self-absorbs of emissions lies. So these are the very challenges for that. And of course, we having a lot of advantage for that. So we can do real-time data transmission, rapid elemental analysis, non-destructive analysis, cost-effective missions, enhanced mobility, all those things. We can do also global elemental mapping. And now Sakha will take rest of parts. So please, Sakha, it's your time.
Thank you, Masim. Okay. I will share my screen.
Sakha, if you can make your presentation as fast as possible, please, because you already consumed a lot of time.
Okay. Masim, can you share the screen from your side, please? Because I don't have access to my screen at the moment. I can't share it.
Okay, I will.
Oh, maybe it worked. Let me see. Do you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. So yeah, I'm going to talk about human factors when we talk about space. What's important for us is, because of my background, I'm focusing on like psychological and social well-being. So living in space obviously is not normal for most humans. So to normalize that, we need like ergonomic living spaces, relaxation zones, social interactions, entertainment, and access to nature. This normalization would develop, like help maintain normality despite the unfamiliar environment. And also like life clarification systems and relaxation zones, as I mentioned, would be really helpful. Also community and social spaces, like shared social spaces where people can connect to and have a sense of community is really crucial to prevent any isolation and promote mental health. Support systems where we have peer support programs or professional counseling would really help. Diverse cultural spaces where they accommodate cultural, education, and spiritual needs for different people in different aspects of life. Also, we need to not forget that privacy and autonomy is really.
Sakha, I'm sorry, we can't see you are moving the slide. I think you are trying to change the slides, right?
Yeah, I don't see my slides moving. Okay, sorry. Let me try again. Let me see if I do it this way. Do you see my screen this way?
Yes. Oh, yeah, this is better now. Yes.
Sorry. Okay. So yeah, I talked about psychological and social well-being, community and social spaces, privacy and autonomy. So yeah, as we need to not forget that privacy is still crucial to human. So we need to have personal spaces where like the place is spacious, where areas where inhabitants can go to retreat for solitude and reflections. They can we have personalization options for comfort and autonomy. Also, the outer space view control would really help for some people it could be therapeutic to see space, but for others it could induce anxiety. So to have this option to turn it on and off, it's going to be really helpful. Also, psychological support systems like real-time psychological monitoring and emergency psychological protocols, obviously for emergencies, either for mental health or for physical conditions as well. Telehealth and teletherapy is going to be important, where therapists, psychiatrists, medical doctors for any issues that could arise because of prolonged isolation, monotony, or environmental stress, or any physical health. Also, what's also important is having countermeasures against bone and muscle deterioration, along with protection from radiation, as Mohsen mentioned. These are essential to avoid any physical health issues. We can incorporate artificial intelligence-driven diagnostic tools, obviously, because these are really futuristic and could be helpful for both mental and physical health assessments. What's also important is human productivity and purpose. We need to not forget that people they need schedules, they need guidelines to maintain balance between. They're not going to be in this habitat working all the time. They need to work, relax, and have personal time to avoid any burnout or any boredom or frustration that could arise. So purpose-driven activities such as things that could contribute to the habitat's self-sufficiency, like farming, research, local industries, engaging those activities would provide a sense of meaning and accomplishment to inhabitants. Also, cultural and artistic expression would help. So we have creative spaces for artistic pursuits, whether whatever it is, people have hobbies. These can help people cope with going to a different environment. What's also important is the environmental design itself, so the aesthetic of it. So all spaces could be designed to maximize comfort and support human health, like lights, air circulation, temperature control could all be in both private and public areas. Green spaces and water are really helpful. Education, research, and personal development. So because we're considering people living there, so lots of people. So we have different spaces for schools, research labs, educations, and any mental simulations that could really help people avoid being depressed or living in a confined space would give them boredom. And that would help prevent that. So also the creative spaces I previously mentioned would really help have a sense of well-being and foster community and creativity and innovation. That was my part. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, please let us know.
Thank you, Sakha and Muasim, for this work. So please, for mentors now, if you have any question, the floor is yours.
Well, my question is to you, which kind of rotating structure would you prefer for your habitat? Is it a sphere? Is it a cylinder or something else? Or a torus, for example?
Muasim, Sakha, did you get the question?
Yeah, I get it. So basically, we are planning and proposing that to build the habitat as a circular. So in that case, circular, we are having like both kinds of natural environment for night and lighting. So it is quite better if we made circular.
Okay, any other question?
Yes, I have a question. So you spent maybe the most time of your presentation illustrating the LIBS spectroscopic technique, and well, my impression is that this kind of technique is more useful to analyze grounds on the Moon and Mars and so on. So maybe you think that one of the main activities of our Lagrange city inhabitants will be to analyze champions of materials brought over there from the moon, the asteroids, and so on. Just help me to understand better why you focus so much on that technique. That I'm sure it's useful, but I would like to understand more.
Yeah, of course. The main works behind that, we can do multiple things with that only spectroscopy. We need that to analyze the chemicals, the materials, the soil activity. We can study using that LIPS spectroscopy. And also we can do remotely. We don't need to be present there physically. We can do remotely. So that spectroscopy is very useful for to do physically and remotely. In terms of robotic, we can also import that technology in there. We don't need to present there, and it can be sent us data very quickly. We can realize that, oh, there is that chemicals present. So it's
Okay,
all
so
about quickly.
So you mean that using spectroscopic technique in preliminary activities before building the habitat, in order to analyze the lunar and asteroid material that can be used to build the infrastructure, or even
Yes, exactly.
even when people will be living there, to remotely analyze, to make some kind of a remote exploration of the lunar environment and of the asteroids from let me say, a privileged place in space that's better than from Earth.
Yeah, exactly. That we
Okay.
can do whatever from where. No need to be present there.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, so actually I have a similar question to the other group. So did you think what it would take to build a terrestrial prototype for the habitat and the installation that you have described? Did you think how you could do it? Because this would be a great way to promote the interest of possible investors or partners. So a terrestrial prototype for your habitat.
Yeah, it's quite time consuming. I would not say that it will take a few of years. And also we need that motivation for that. And of course, for that maintaining that habitat environment, we need a lot of collaboration with internationals and a lot of space agency for that. And of course, we need that monies. And
Yeah, but for the space version for sure. But for a terrestrial prototype, we have got an example. Like I had a design student, Serena. She proposed the concept of a lunar laboratory for a master, and then in 6 months she could build it for as a terrestrial prototype, and we use it on Earth. So I was wondering if you could also build a similar low-cost prototype, and this we could already test it, and we could put people inside, and then you could also test some of the psychology and human factors protocol that you are described in your presentation. So it would be nice to propose a low cost terrestrial prototype that could be done locally.
Okay, Mary Louisa, do you have other question?
Yes, I have two questions to Zakhar Al-Magadi. Sorry for the name.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Do you think that in space habitats we need also private entrepreneurship? This is my first question. And the second question, do you also have in your planning rooms for social activities like dancing or discussing or have dreams of the future, and so on?
Yeah, thank you for your question. So for the first one, private internship is going to be eventually there. Maybe not in the very beginning, because in the beginning it's going to be more like more of a communal thing, and then it could be private entrepreneurship. As for the second question, yeah, private spaces for people to have their activities or their hobbies is going to be really essential for their health, whether it's mental or physical health. So like dancing, sports, activities, exercise, that's going to be really helpful for people to have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sakha. Yeah, Adriano?
Yes, I was very well impressed by the presentation made by Saka Al-Madani. I think your design was clearly driven from the concept that the beauty is key, and by the concept that green life and vegetal life and flowers and gardens are very, very essential for living in a space habitat. So yeah, I think that in a possible future development, these kind of topics should be further developed and more detailed and so on. So this is
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we always think the most important part of any habitat is the inhabitants. So to think about their well-being is really important.
yeah, excellent.
Excellent. One last question, anyone? Okay, in this case, thank you very much, Sakha and Muassam. So now let's go to Team Delta, or Team Life. Shabshankar, please, the floor is yours. Introduce yourself and your teammate, of course, before the presentation.
Hello, everyone. I'm Shivshankar Palit from India. And my teammate is Mr. Shobhajit Hajra, who is also from India. I just finished my undergraduation in chemistry from the University of Calcutta. And Shobhajit is in his final year of PhD and is also an assistant professor at the Chandigarh University. Alongside this, we both co-founded the Life to and Beyond Foundation 2 years before, under which we work in the areas of astrobiology, space life sciences, space social studies, space education, outreach, and communication. I'm also on the board of directors of ACS Worldwide and also work with Innova Space with Dr. Thais Rusumano, who is a space medicine professional. That's it in short about myself, and I will be sharing my screen shortly. Just a second. Just one thing, like a part of my, majority of my presentation is through the slides, but a part is also through the main document, which includes the breakdown of the you can say budget as well as other collaborations and business plan and so on at the end. So I'll just begin my presentation. I just would like to know if my presentation is visible full screen. If anyone could just confirm.
Yes, it's visible full screen.
Okay, great. Thank you for the opportunity. We, the Team Life, is proposing the conceptual design for an Earth Moon Lagrange city, which we have just named humbly as the Beyonders L5 city. Moving ahead, what's the Beyonders L5 city? We will be discussing more about it. It's a kind of mini Earth, or the Earth 2.0 in short, if I just say. Now, as introduction, it's very, very important to kind of expand beyond the realms of our Earth. The historic accounts of humanity suggest that we have spread from just one continent to become a multi-continental species. Now, it's the same time that we become from one single planetary species to a multi-planetary species. So it's the legacy that we carry on again and again. And Also, this presentation will highlight on the urgency of this expansion and also on the concept of the O'Neill's habitat, specifically at the L5 Lagrange point, where we hope where we have proposed for the Beyond Us L5 city. Why it's important to move beyond, I think the previous speakers have already digressed a lot about it. I will not digress. But then just for the resource limitations, like the resources here on Earth are finite, more so because not of the resources, the quantity of resources, but because of the greed of us humans. Because however economically developed we have become, it's not sustainable on our part. Second is the scientific exploration part to feed our curiosity. And the third one is the survival of humanity and also the very existence of humanity. And the Beyonders L5 city is named like it's for the Beyonders, not just for astronauts or taikonauts or cosmonauts, because there are several terms for them. It's for all those who want to venture beyond. So it's for the Beyonders. Moving ahead, the Beyonders L5 city, as mentioned, as the kind of Earth 2.0, on the very lines of O'Neill's habitat, with a kind of large rotating space habitat designed to support human life in a microgravity environment, which actually provide like the artificial gravity environment. Like we humans have evolved from years in the 1G gravitational environment here on Earth. So for us, kind of adapting to a microgravity environment is going to be difficult, which comes with many health risks. I'll be discussing further. And then building a habitat at the L5 Lagrange point offers for unique advantages because of stability and also accessibility to the lunar and asteroid resources. We also have to understand that any mission that gets proposed, like be it a solar mission, lunar mission, or any other mission, has to kind of be in tandem with the other existing missions. So this particular, you can say, conceptual design at the L5 is also on the lines that we humans are planning to soon set up like permanent establishments on the moon. And in that very context, this becomes very, very important. Coming to the scope, why build at L5? Quite obvious that the gravitational balance minimizes the resource propulsion needs and also the long-term habitation, like because of the artificial gravitational environment provided by the habitat itself, and also the reduced reliance on Earth's resources. That's the very point of building at L5. And the orbital living benefits, the artificial gravity minimizes the health risks like the muscle atrophy or the bone density loss or even cardiovascular diseases and other such diseases like problems related to health, and also enhances the psychological well-being by replicating the Earth-like conditions. So it has to be aesthetically very, very soothing so as to be so that we can adapt psychologically to that environment. Key components of the habitat design, the life support systems to sustain human as well as plant life, to control internal parameters from temperature to pressure and other kinds of conditions, be it concentration of any kind of elements or other, and also radiation protection. The space weather monitoring needs to be done more real time. And also emergency monitoring system, not just the radiation monitoring system through dosimeters or other kinds of radiation meters and so on, but also fire detectors and gas leak sensors and all, which can lead to any kind of catastrophe in such a kind of, you can say, habitat. Yeah, also habitat rotation, the engines designed for the rotation to create the artificial gravity and also maintaining the attitude control systems for the stabilization in the orbital environment is very, very necessary to help keep that, you can say, that habitat in a stabilized position. Coming to psychological well-being initiatives, you know, as it says that if we are mentally prepared for something, we can do it in some way or the other. Like recreational spaces for fostering community interaction is going to be very important. And also like mental health support through social activities and like building some small communal areas within the habitat will help come out from the technical aspects of work that people, those who are permanently settled in that habitat, or let's say those who go as tourists to that habitat. The resource utilization strategies obviously includes the in-situ resource utilization from the lunar or the asteroid resources, which is going to reduce dependency on Earth. Initially, obviously, we need to import from Earth, but then over time, if we can sustainably increase the exports from that habitat to Earth or other places and reduce the imports from Earth, that is the true sense of autonomy that we can provide. And in a true sense, it can be called a kind of independent city outside the Earth. Yeah. Alongside the scientific or psychological or other aspects, there are legal frameworks that need to be considered. Because we humans, as conscious beings, have a lot of power, but that power needs to be checked. We know that there are many legal treaties and all, including the most respected and the most, you can say, acknowledged Outer Space Treaty. It mentions that the space is a province of all mankind or all of humanity. But then it also provides only the use of lunar or other celestial body resources for scientific purposes only and not for commercial gain. So considering all those pointers in mind, if we use lunar or other asteroid resources for building this habitat, it's okay. But then it should only be used for just like building or let's say scientific purposes and not for commercial gain for any single or a couple of stakeholders. So that needs to be considered, and also establishments of law or kind of a constitution to govern the activities of the people living or residing in that habitat is also going to be important, and it will also drive responsible resource utilization by the people living in that habitat. So these are some of the legal considerations we need to take into account when building the entire land for the habitat. Coming to stakeholder requirements, obviously, it's a team effort. We need people from all backgrounds. As mentioned, it's kind of a mini Earth. So we need people from science and engineering and medicine to arts and commerce and many more. And the design should not only be inclusive for well-abled humans, but also people of different genders or even specially abled people. That in the true sense will make that habitat truly make it accessible to all or democratize access to all. So consideration of inclusive designs while making that or planning that habitat is going to be important. And also we know that a very small percentage of women or people from the LGBTQ plus community representation and have been to space. And considering the medical aspects with regard to the physiology needs to be taken into account so as to ensure access for all in that habitat. Coming to user requirements overview, urban capacity for several hundred inhabitants. We have to understand this is not like the International Space Station or the Tiangong Space Station, the Chinese space station, that only a few people will be going from time in and time out. We have to understand it's for hundreds of people, though many of them living there or even born to death, from birth to death, or even some visiting for just a few for some time as tourists. So we have to cater to people from various backgrounds, be it people involved in local manufacturing for catering the needs of the people living there, or people involved in research or agriculture, or even people offering the tourism services. Coming to some safety system developments, protection from the cosmic radiation with emergency response protocols integrated. They should be integrated into the habitat design, and also comprehensive safety measures ensuring structural integrity of the habitat and occupant safety also needs to be considered. Quality of life enhancements, ergonomic living spaces with food production systems can truly make the habitat autonomous in terms of food production and also utilization. And then reliable communication systems connecting inhabitants with Earth and other celestial bodies will provide for a better network for the habitat in terms of connecting it not only to Earth, but also to other celestial bodies. Cultural and educational facilities that needs to be provided, like schools, be it from the primary to secondary to higher secondary or advanced schools, be in small groups, not like mega projects here on Earth, should be provided to make that continuous learning opportunities, and even remote learning opportunities maybe from Earth, and like connecting Earth and the habitat would be the best approach. And then spaces dedicated to arts and research and community events fostering creativity would be a great effort for this habitat. Artistic expression spaces like maybe, for example, soundproof rooms for music practice or public performance would be good, so as to both maintain the decorum of the entire habitat, and also people can engage in artistic endeavors. And then theaters designed for showcasing artistic endeavors and community engagement would always be good for people. And then spaces for conferences, and even be it in terms of science or philosophy or culture, and even cultural exchanges. One of the key features of we humans are the festivals that we celebrate. Okay, so festivals and cultural exchanges and such kind of discussion and events obviously should be fostered at the habitat. And as mentioned by Adriano, that precaution is better than cure. So making the internal environment of the habitat green would not only help in enhancing the aesthetics of the habitat, but also can enhance in oxygen production needed for like sustenance of people out there. And also creating comfortable Earth-like biomes within the habitat can provide for psychological comfort for people living there. So this is what we wanted to propose with regard to the technical systems or components that we want within the habitat, or we plan within the habitat. Coming to the project management, the work breakdown, as you can see in different work packages, as you can see in this particular column. And like from project initiation to feasibility study to design phase to environmental impact assessment to procurement to construction to even system integration, and then testing and verification to operational readiness, and then finally the launch and commissioning of the entire habitat. So these are some of the crucial processes before launching the parts of the habitat. Moving ahead, some discussion also needs to be given to the needs to be done on the Gantt diagram, like in terms of weeks that we propose that if funded, and also the feasibility study like passes, and also we get the proper guidance and expertise, it should be made possible in this listed down weeks, number of weeks, and eventually the habitat can be launched. People from mixed set of expertise needs are required to finally make this or kind of enrich this particular habitat. Coming to the cost and funding, it's important that we also minimize and make it sustainable on the term in terms of funding. So the estimated design cost should be around 10 million, and then to implementation cost to 100 million, to even launch cost to around 20 million, and maintenance costs around 5 million. Though it is comparatively high in terms of making it more accessible to people, but then there are also other funding resources that we should look forward to apart from the public funding, be it private funding, like apart from the topics or components that has legal complications. Apart from that, we can involve more private industry people into this particular habitat making. And most important, I believe, is the consortia. Like if we take the example of the International Space Station, that's the best example. But then now there are examples of the Chinese space station, but that is also providing a platform for developing underdeveloped nations to bring their experiments and test it out on that platform. And then there is upcoming Indian space station that's coming up soon. So consortia building in terms of building this particular habitat and raising funds on the basis of that would be one of the best approaches for this. Also, we need to keep up with the quality standards internationally accepted. And based on the business plans, I would just like to highlight on this. To keep the habitat ongoing and sustainable enough, we need to introduce business plans like tourism services to research facilities. Now, with this research facilities, there are many pharma industries, there are many materials industries on Earth that gets benefited from research in space, especially in the on the exposure of radiation, or let's say if a kind of you can say small kind of device can be made that can replicate the microgravity environment outside the habitat, because inside the habitat, the artificial gravity environment is maintained. Okay, that experiments done out there can fetch more funding from industry here on Earth. And then production, if we import more produced crops or something from this habitat, that can also lead to investments in that sector and many more. We can also have like logistic or supply chain services, or even technological services, and even curriculum-based products, be it from educational to outreach and many more. Based on revenue projections, the initial investment should amount around 130 million in terms of the design, construction, and operational, and for the operational startups that will work on this. And the return on investment, the ROI, 15% return on investment over 5 years through diverse onboard business revenue streams and research grants, tourism fees, and licensed technology should also be considered. Apart from this, there are many more. But then as a follow-up, we can, as mentioned by one of the judges, like a terrestrial project can always be considered before going on to the actual launch and all, so pilot programs and all. And all in all, we also have to consider joint venture agreements, consortium agreements, MOUs, and collaborative research agreements to move towards this direction, before moving towards this direction. Finally, I would just like to end my presentation through this particular slide, that the Beyonders L5 city suggests for a sustainable model for future space exploration, for a thriving community that mirrors Earth's diversity while paving the Earth for future exploration beyond our planet. And it's exactly in alignment with what even Space Renaissance advocates for, that space for all and for on Earth and beyond. Because this is not just like the International Space Station or other space station that allows just technical people to go and live out there. It's for all, right? So in the truest sense, space can be made accessible through this Beyonders L5 city. And thank you very much for your time. I'm open to any questions regarding our work, and more details. For more details, you can refer the work document. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shankar. Of course, given the time frame of the project, your work is great, really appreciated. If there is any question, please go ahead by the mentors.
I have a question.
Sorry, could you please stop sharing?
Oh, sure. I will just stop the share. I hope it stopped. Okay, wait, I have to stop the share. Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Okay. I think the title, The Beyond Us, is very iconic. I think it's a very, very well, very interesting title, a very good title. And during your talk, you pointed out that we need Earth-like conditions, and if you thought this together, the Beyonders and Earth-like conditions, you can come to the question that perhaps the Beyonders also have the possibility to go beyond Earth in the philosophical thinking.
Absolutely, that's the very thought. Like the Beyonders, there's no particular term that defines space travelers. There are many people call them astronauts, many people call them cosmonauts, many people call them taikonauts, and many more. The term, the phrase "the Beyonders" actually is a representation of the philosophical idea that those who want to venture beyond Earth, into the vastness of space. Yeah, Monsieur, you got it right. Absolutely.
No, perhaps I have to concretize my question. Do you think that we are able to go beyond our Earth-like categories of thinking? This is a really philosophical question.
Okay. You mean the kind of mindset or
yes,
the kind of thinking we have been kind of induced for years here on Earth, if we can go out of it?
Yes.
That's a very, you can say, tricky question. Like, I would just like to take an instance of my friend Ryan, who is from America. He recently went to an analog mission in Poland. So there they lived in like isolation for around 10 days or 7 days, somewhat like that. So in that isolation conditions, he mentioned, like when he was sharing his experience, they had to do many things that they couldn't think like in their general life. Like, for example, they couldn't go for bathing for many days. So they have to like rely on scent, or let's say fragrance or something, or even they have to use remote services, and even internet connection wasn't allowed. So you have to understand that they have to engage in some activity to keep themselves engaged, mentally engaged. Okay, that's one. And one of the best examples I can think of is the COVID-19 time, like that's a condition that we were forced to stay in our homes, like and to minimize the social interactions. So that was the time that we were forced to think why mental health is so important, or let's say why even digitization of the world is so important. Like compared to the pre-COVID times, I believe now we are more digitally more savvy. Okay, so that's a kind of shift of mindset from that old to the new. So I believe it is possible, but then we have to be exposed to that environment, and then accordingly the shift of mindset is possible.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, any other question? I see Maria is raising her hand. Maria?
Yes, thank you, Ghanim. Okay, so I have several questions. I will start with the first one. You mentioned protection from radiation. Can you please elaborate it? How will you ensure this?
The protection from radiation essentially would be through the materials that would be used for the habitat building. Okay, and not through any kind of like device that the humans themselves wear or something. Okay, but then I'm not sure at the moment like what materials would be best. In fact, like there is a certain level of neutron radiation that is also that the astronauts at the International Space Station also gets affected. I'm not sure about the exact material if it is yet like worked on or invented yet or discovered yet. That needs to be used for radiation protection and also building of the habitat. But yes, would love to work more on that.
Yeah, it should be elaborated, but it's okay. Okay, I have another question also about the policies, and you were talking about space. It's for everyone. It should be shared by everyone. But obviously, we know that in reality, it doesn't really work this way, because everyone has its specific potential and the way he can put in the sector. So how will you manage this democratically and to be the fairest in your opinion?
This question that you asked is perhaps one of the you can say frontiers of space law, right? How to ensure equitable access to space as a global commons kind of. So I do not have a perfect answer to that, but then based on the interactions I have listened to or even I've engaged in during the General Assembly discussions at the Science Summit this year, I got to know that there are various perspectives, and also one of the biggest, you can say, drawbacks is the less signatories, those who agree to the Moon Agreement. Okay, because I'm considering the Moon as our first celestial body that we will venture to. Okay, that we have already ventured to, I mean, like in terms of permanent establishments. Okay, so now you mentioned that there are case studies and also limited, you can say, capabilities. That's correct. Let us take a historical, you can say, context here. Like mainly, if we consider the colonists, those who colonized various parts of the world, it's because they had the resources or the capabilities to do so. But then we know what the result of colonization is. There are good sides and there are majorly bad sides. Okay. So in fact, I prefer to use the term space establishments than space colonization and all. Okay. Because we do not want to repeat that mistake again. And it is only through like global discussions and dialogues and diplomacy to consider that at least the emerging or even the like those who do not have any connection to space, the stakeholders, those who do not have space infrastructure and all, they also have a say, because after all, they are signing that document, right? That is allowing the capable stakeholders to go and, let's say, mine some celestial body resources and all. So they also should have a part, like in that, you can say, exploration. But then considering the profitability factor, and also if we should benefit from space resources, and how in that way can everybody be benefited, that is something I don't know. Like, in fact, I believe none of the space lawyers at the moment are very well equipped with that answer. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you for your answer. I have another question. You just mentioned that you compared the conditions with the COVID-19 experience. But I don't know. I mean, when you are in space, you are really isolated. It's your own system out there.
Right,
but
right.
maybe the fact that we were on Earth and we were hoping to get out, does it? Maybe it's different. Maybe the experience is different because you knew that you were coming out at some point or something.
Right.
So maybe I will go back to the idea of mental health and how will you manage the stress, if you can say this. So will you do what kind of test do you think could be considered before sending people out there and go through the experience?
Yeah, means you are very well. You very well put this, that the COVID-19 situation wasn't a very perfect one as we experience in space, but yeah, kind of like you can say unusual one, where we had to be isolated for a major amount of time for a long time, right? But then the best approach is training, is to train people, like as Dr. Bernard very well mentioned, that a terrestrial model setup of the habitat, a low-cost terrestrial setup, and like training people or bringing in groups and getting them trained for a certain amount of time, and understanding the human factors that get affected, like especially the psychological and medical factors, if not the microgravity and radiation factors to some extent. That would be the best approach, like training batch after batch and then sending the selected ones. Okay, the same thing that we follow for astronauts, more or less. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all for me.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I have a question. Yes. So, yes, I wanted to congratulate you because you have done really a very comprehensive exercise covering all aspects, so the technical, the human aspect, and it's been very clear, well argumented, also with other projects, I will say. And I think you have, with the Beyonder, you have touched really to something that resonates a lot with what we do at Space Renaissance, with our Space for All on Earth and Beyond SDG 18 initiative. So I think that really we have to think, how could we help you to go to the next step? And so I mentioned, and I asked to the others, is there something we could support to build a prototype? And then we could test it, and we could do all the human factor studies that different groups have mentioned. So what could be done to help to go to the next phase and eventually to build a terrestrial prototype that we could call the Space Renaissance for all and beyond? So what do you think we could do?
Absolutely. Like the next step is the most important, because ideas are good when well implemented, right? So the first step after this is going to be very, very important. Like as firstly, I would like to thank Dr. Adriano and also Ghanim for encouraging me, because I was going to take back the application just sometime before this event, because we were almost not complete with the thing. But thanks for the encouragement, and I look forward to Space Renaissance International for any kind of support that they can provide in terms of expertise and guidance to further develop this into a full-fledged, at least implementable model, like you mentioned, the terrestrial model. And then there are examples like the consortia of analog astronauts, like the world's biggest analog, for example. There is this group, they are connecting globally from the north to the south. So taking, there are various habitats, various conditions, and considering to be a part of a consortia and starting this program would be a better approach. And also building this particular model in a place where there are less analog analog astronaut opportunities would be the best to further take a step towards democratizing space towards all. Because there are many countries that have many analog astronaut like setups and all. There are many countries there are none. Okay, so we also have to think towards that, like how we think, like the mindset of like one by one making space a bit more accessible for all.
Hey, what about India and beyond in India?
Okay,
So,
okay.
this could help
In
you.
India, like there are some analog sites, like in Ladakh. It has the cold desert. It's like the Martian analog. There one habitat is being built, and then there is the Run of Kutch in Gujarat, in the western part of India. So there also one analog is being built, a small habitat. In fact, from Lifetime Beyond Foundation, we are doing preliminary work on the analog areas in India. Like some of them we found that is in Assam, like some in the northeastern part, the cave analogs. So,
but may I ask you, but for an orbital analog, wouldn't it be better to put it in a city so that you could demonstrate it to millions of people, and that would have a different function?
That is certainly a good idea. I think in India, like let's say this kind of portable analog, or let's say, as you mentioned, like in the middle of the city would be the best approach, where we do not depend on the site, but create that simulated conditions anywhere, anytime. Kind of.
Yeah. So we just mentioned we have a moon base that we have put in the middle of city of Padova, and there were 10,000 visitors. So I think you could have millions of visitors, and then inspire them for space for all on Earth and beyond.
Right. I agree.
So if we could help you in this project, let's think of a follow-up phase for you, but also for the other groups. I think that that was a very beautiful concept to offer. First, if there is a possibility, we have them presented, summarized by Ghanim at the next IAC, and then we find a way also to help you developing the next steps. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, of course, Adriano. We have a plan. This is just an initial step, and I will share with everyone, of course, how we can proceed. Any other question?
I just wanted to make a consideration about one of the things. I appreciated very much your presentation, Sip Sankar. A conceptual presentation, because of course we couldn't claim that in 1 month teams will have already the technological solutions, the business plan, the financial the budget, and everything, of course. So I think this, however, these presentations that we have seen were very great, all the three of them, and I see that our teams has taken very seriously our proposal and our challenge, and have replied at their best. So this is very important, because we have put together today some concepts, interesting, some common understanding about what are the Lagrange points and why they are L4 and L5 are preferable respect to L1, L2, and 3, and why having simulated gravity is necessary, and all these kind of things were understood by all the participants. But as Ghanim said, we are at the beginning of a process. Today we have put together some concepts. We should understand how to go ahead, because it is very much work. Okay, I started to say that I wanted to make a comment on one of the aspects you touched in your presentation, and it is let me say the legal aspect about using lunar and asteroid resources. And in our committees in the Space Renaissance Academy, we have a legal space law committee, and we discussed very much these aspects. Even we discussed the key critical issues before 2030, and the problem of lunar and asteroid utilization is very important also in the discussion at COPUOS, the Committee for the Pacific Uses of Outer Space. So we discussed that, and we think to have understood that one thing is the lunar resources, and another thing is the asteroid resources from a let me say right of utilization and private utilization and all these kind of things. I think that while the moon is a word, is a satellite, but it is a word, and it is and it on the moon we have a limited quantity of water, for instance, and of other things. Even if we think about the regolith, okay, there is a lot, but it's not infinite. No, the regolith on so if we think to use regolith to make commercial business on Earth, that would be wrong. We think that space resources belong to space communities, belong to the space settlers, not to Earth. So this is an important concept that we have discussed, yes, and we agreed on that. And the second point is that the asteroids, if you think about asteroid belts, or even only to the near-Earth asteroids that are, however, several tens of thousands already known, because we discover new ones each month, let me say, can be considered as a big repository of resources. Apart some big asteroids, the smaller things are can be considered a very large deposit of resources. So we think that from the legal point of view and from the right of utilization point of view, we should make a difference between big celestial bodies and small amounts of orbiting resources that can be considered like something that private investors can go and take and use to make commercial uses in space. I believe in space, to build infrastructure and to start an industrial activity in space. So I don't, from the philosophical point of view, I see no reason why we shouldn't consider space resources in the same way we consider Earth resources. Earth is a celestial body. It is in space. If we have the right to use Earth, why don't we have the right to use asteroid at least? On the moon, we could make some consideration about the limited amount of resources on the moon and so on. But this is let me say, a detailed discussion that I don't want to enter now. Just I wanted to make you aware that we have this discussion, and I am very, very eager to see you enter Space Renaissance International. You start discussing with us, because we have committees that are trying to develop advanced concept that then we will bring to the UN discussion and to the large society at large. So, okay, this was my...
Thank you very much. Like, especially the first concept that you mentioned, like space resources are for space travelers. That is very, very interesting. Like, I didn't think ever like from that point of view. And also the distinction that you made between bigger and smaller resources, I also agree, like that at some point in time, we have to come and take a midway, that where commercial usage as well as like equitable access, both are balanced and made available. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, any other question or comment? Okay, I really hope that this experience provided some new concepts, ideas, or inspiration for the participating teams. As mentioned by Bernard, there will be next steps. So, so far, you can, I mean, for participating teams, you can take a break for the coming week and we will come back to you with the results and with, of course, further steps in the future. Thank you very much for our mentors for your time. During the entire year, of course, you participated with the mentorship program by providing lectures and sometimes attending meetings also with the participating teams. Before I close, maybe a final message from Bernard and Adriano. Bernard, do you like to provide a final message?
Okay, in this case, a message, yes. Oh, sorry. Yes, let's see. My microphone. Yes, so really, I wanted to say I really appreciated the effort, the quality of the work, and also of the presentation. And so I look forward also to transmit that to the other, the young generation as an example. So clearly at IAC, if Ghanim, you could make a summary of some of this presentation, already find a forum where you show some of this very early result. In particular, if you would like to use the forum of the session that I am organizing in IAC, which is space exploration interactive presentation, we could find a slot for that. We should also make use of our booth, Space for All on Earth and Beyond at IAC, and where we could make a mini presentation using some of the material that was presented by the three teams. Celebrate that as well in the event that we organize at IAC, and try to encourage also other young professionals to participate in the next round. It was a beautiful example. And also looking at ways where we could help in the next step beyond the concept study of maybe more detailed study, where we could help the teams to continue and also integrate some of these activities in some of the work of our academy committees. So congratulations to all of you, and thanks. It was very illuminating to see this concept, and clearly at some stage this is going to happen. So let's be among the architects that are going to make it happen. Thank you very much from Space Renaissance.
And that will be, of course, a great opportunity to expose the work in IAC. Adriano, do you like to say a final message from your side?
Well, about this workshop, I already said before before giving my comment to Sip Sarkar, so I don't have very much more to add. Rather than to say that I'm thanking very, very much all the participants, the teams that work as so passionate, and the mentors who gave their assistance during these months. And yeah, I'm very happy of this event today. I also think, like Bernard, that the quality of the presentation was excellent. And yeah, I can only say that we are going ahead, and this is only a starting point. Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I want to thank especially Ghanim for his really excellent organizational work.
That's true. Bravo. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate, of course, your support.
Also, for me, I would like to thank everyone and Ghanim for all the follow-up also and your presence. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Werner, do you like to say a final message from your side?
Yes, I thank everything who has now contributed to this excellent work and excellent session. And I will think about in the next day how to judge the teams. So it will be hard to judge them. Okay, thank you very much all together.
Thank you again, everyone, for this. And yeah, we have a plan and we have momentum now for the young generation within SRI. And I am really excited for the future. So thank you very much, and have a great nights, evenings, and mornings.
Very good.
Goodbye.
All the best.